Welcome to a special Earth Day episode of the Aliens Love Earth podcast, where we heal the Earth with art. Today we're celebrating our beautiful planet by hearing from some of our favorite artists and community members about their thoughts on nature, sustainability, and their connection to the Earth. We've gathered insights from a diverse group of musicians, as well as you potentially, if you reacted to our stories on Instagram. Before we dive in, I just want to say that you can help heal the Earth for free right now by giving us a follow on the platform you're listening on. We help restore 1 square meter of ecosystem where it's needed the most for every new community member on every channel. So just give us a follow, it's 2 clicks, free, and it really has an impact. Now, before we dive into the first question, I just want to say that the whole idea of the episode is to inspire each other and also feel the power to speak up whatever you feel is useful and whatever you do. I think there's a lot of people that feel like they care about it but are afraid to speak out what they are doing and how they care about it. But I think everything is all right, and I think it's important that we can all speak out how we show our care and love for the planet. So yeah, let's not judge, let's just make this comment section, wherever you're listening, a wholesome place where we can all share some tips and some ideas and our thoughts or our insights on how we would interpret these questions. So feel free to answer the questions in the comments as well, because I think we can all help each other out and inspire each other. Even if it's something that feels small to us, it can actually inspire someone else to take some action. And that's how we will get to a greener planet, I think. So enough talking, let's dive into the first question. So the first question is a big one, and it is, do you care about our planet and what shows that you do? We'll hear it from a variety of artists and community members, from a classical trumpeter to an acoustic experimental artist, as well as Lucid Letters, who we're having an interview with going live this Friday, as well, and Orneo, who responded to our stories. So let's dive into it. Let's first hear it from Plante. He was featured on our platform a few weeks ago. We had a super interesting interview with him as well, so consider checking that out on our YouTube or podcast. It was a really interesting talk. He is a classical trumpeter who turned into also doing analog modular synths, so that's really super interesting to check out. But yeah, when we asked him, do you care about planet Earth and what shows it, he answered the following. Of course, I care about our dear planet. I also feel conflicted about my own role in environmental protection/destruction. Does my effort really make a difference? Around 25 years ago, I made a New Year's resolution to create less trash. I was tired of spending money on disposable products that were essentially produced only to be thrown into the garbage shortly after use. That resolution stuck with me over the years and guided many of my lifestyle and consumer choices. I used to think that I was pretty good about being environmentally conscious until I met my husband. He's a biologist and currently works for an NGO focused on environmental protection. Nature, conservation, and environmental protection are constant topics in our household, and he helps motivate me to put in even more personal effort into preserving our planet's ecosystems. Still, I wonder, will it be enough? Now, I think that's also why I, said what the goal of this episode is in the beginning, that being conscious about it and thinking about it and also sharing insights and thoughts on this topic is super valuable and important, because I think you're already doing more than nothing if you think about it and see consciously what you can do. So yeah, maybe Nathan, first of all, thank you so much for sharing this open opinion and insight on it. If you have any additional tips on this, please leave them in the comments and feel free to share your thoughts on it. I think all together as a community we can, create something nice if we share our thoughts and also be vulnerable about it and open about it. I think, at least for me personally, this is something I really recognize as well, like always questioning, is it enough what I'm doing and what can I do more without depressing myself and creating a counter-constructive setting in which I, in the end, don't feel energy anymore. The second artist that responded to this is Nebno, and Nebno said, I certainly do, sometimes with perhaps too many emotions, but emotions are essential when it comes to caring and loving. I strongly believe that every person has the power to make a difference and have an impact, whether through their actions or inaction. I extend this kindness and respect to animals and plants just as I do with family and friends. I love every single animal, which is why I decided to go vegan almost 4 years ago. I also try to eat seasonal and local food as often as possible. Additionally, I avoid fast fashion and prefer to buy secondhand and vintage clothes. Thanks for sharing this with us and with everyone listening. I think it's very true that, caring about something comes with emotion and intention, and maybe that's an answer to Nathan's self-questioning as well. I think it is something that goes to the heart. If you really care about it and feel for the planet, then yeah, this is something that will come back. I also personally believe that emotions and feelings of uncomfort and questioning are things that actually move us as human beings. Like, it's a trigger for us as also part of nature, as animals, to maybe move in a different direction if we feel, uncomfortable or something isn't right. And, it triggers us to, whether it be physically or emotionally or mentally, move to another place. And I think, therefore, emotions are super important in the process of trying to live a bit greener and care about the planet. Yeah, next one we got is our friend Ornio. Ornio was one of the first guests ever on the podcast for an interview, but also with a DJ set. Super awesome drum and bass, or bass music, experimental bass, I would say as well. DJ set. Did you hear that? There's just a wasp that came to say hello into my microphone. But yeah, that's super cool. So feel free to check that out, of course. But he said, every time I walk through the forest, I pick up every piece of trash that I find on the way and throw it in the recycling back at home, or on the way if there's like some bin on the way that you know. And this is something I also started doing a bunch of years ago. It started really small, but I figured out that at some point when I walked by trash and I was like, oh, I already picked up some trash, or I always do it on my walk, this time maybe, I can't do it always. I walk by it and 5 seconds later I'm like, who am I? Why did I leave that? And then I walk back and pick it up anyways. It's quite addicting in that way, but quite a healthy addiction, I would say. But yeah, like, if you're out and about and you see some trash somewhere, just pick it up, because yeah, you didn't put it there, but in the end it's still affecting, the environment in which you live, and you're the one seeing it at that moment, and you have a chance to do something with it right there. So it is kind of your problem. And it doesn't mean that you have to pick up every piece of trash you always see, but even if you take 1 or 2 or 3 pieces back and put it in the bin where it's supposed to go, instead of outside, it's more than nothing. So yeah, thank you, Ornio, for responding on the stories on Instagram and being such a valuable long-term community member. That's really cool to have you along. Now another artist that responded to this is Lucid Letters, and we got a very exciting interview coming up this Friday. We're gonna talk about a lot of things, including the dark side of social media, moving away from the big platforms. We're gonna talk about nature, obviously, and we get exclusive premieres of unreleased music from Lucid Letters. So make sure to give us a follow on the platform you're listening on right now to not miss that going live this Friday. Lucid Letters said, the main way I've been trying to care for the planet is in my own garden. I've planted a lot of pollinator-friendly perennials and annual self-seeding plants that attract plenty of bees and other creatures. I'm also a staunch defender of dandelions and make sure to leave the first spring flowers to do their thing and provide food for hungry wildlife. Now, this is cool because this is a very different mindset and approach to caring about the planet, which doesn't ask a lot. If you your own behavioral changes, it's an easy way to start, just get some extra plants out, don't kill insects, and leave some food in early spring for hungry wildlife. So yeah, thanks for that. It's cool, I think, on this question, how you see that different people have different approaches. There's no wrong approach, but everyone is doing something and is consciously just trying to move in the right direction. And I think that's super beautiful. So thank you all for sharing that. Now, the next question might be interesting if you're just, loving nature incorporated in music to hear it. But it might also be interesting if you're an artist and you're curious how other artists implement nature or natural elements or the theme into their music. So the next question is, how do you incorporate nature into your music or art? Whether it's through sounds, visuals, or lyrics, nature plays a role in some of these artists' creative expressions. So we asked this question to a bunch of artists, and yeah, we got some responses that are very cool and worth highlighting. So the first one is from the Last Gatsby. And they say it's a great question. Most of our music is written with motifs and themes of oceans, lakes, woods and forests. Being from Utah, we're fortunate to have some of the most beautiful nature in the world, and it inspires us daily. Super cool. Also really cool to go check out their music and see if you can, recognize these motifs and themes of oceans, lakes, woods, forests, as they say it. And it's really cool to hear that most of their music is actually inspired in some way by nature, and that the beautiful natural world is inspiring them daily. So thanks for sharing that, The Last Gatsby. Another artist that shared on this is Vesta. And Vesta said, sounds of nature have always worked their way into my music in one way or another, mostly through sounds and manipulations of it. The song Tree of Life, as well as its interlude on the album, are prime examples, where you will hear lush waterfalls, sounds of plants, mourning doves, and agriculture play a major part in the storytelling of the songs. So yeah, here it's literal sounds or manipulations of sounds of nature, not only themes or motives. So super cool to go and check out some of Vesta's music to see if you can hear that back in the song Tree of Life, for example, as Vesta said. We also had Steve Gregory, who came back on this and who literally recorded an animal. I'm quoting here that Firefly has real recordings of an owl, which was outside my window at 2 a.m. and wouldn't shut up. I got out my field recorder and decided I should get some benefit from it. So I really love that. Happy you didn't got anything else out and just shot the owl, because it's also a beautiful sound, right? I get you want your sleep, but 2 a.m. is late if you want to get some sleep, but the sound of an owl is so cool, and you will hear it really well in Firefly as well. So really cool song to check out if you love some owl sounds. And the last artist that we wanted to give a highlight here is Hyporadar, and Hyporadar is inspired in its own way. Hyporadar says, I find myself being inspired when I explore outside. It's relaxing to walk trails and smell the fresh air outside in Maine, so the location helps out. I do need to start bringing a notebook when I go, because I always get more ideas than I can remember when I'm outside. So by the time I'm back, I can't remember any of them. So it's cool again here to hear how different people approach how nature inspires differently. Some people, feel like getting inspiration from being outside, and others actually record sounds outside and put them into the music. Others write around the theme of it. And it's really cool to hear how you all have your own ways of being inspired. So maybe this is inspiring for you to give it a try once. I heard multiple artists say that if they're stuck creatively, that they just, as a fun challenge, go out, record some sounds with their iPhone or with a field recorder if you have that, and take them home as samples and just create something with that. Or indeed, like Hyporadar says, maybe take a notebook and try to come up with some lyrics or a theme, or just give it a try. If you're maybe having a mental block or a writer's block at some point, that would be a fun challenge. Now, if you're an artist yourself that is inspired by nature, or do you in some way incorporate nature sounds maybe in your music, then make sure to share your music with us on aliensloveearth.com/submit, because we'd love to hear it and give you a spotlight on our channels if it's a fit. Now, next up is a question that we might secretly just ask for our personal bucket lists, but it's time to look at the most beautiful places some of these community members have visited. Nature has a way of leaving a lasting impression, and we were curious to see how some of these impressions might have affected our community members long term. So the first artist that reacted to it was Blacklight Beat Patrol, and he said, years ago I went backpacking in the White Mountains of New Hampshire. A friend and I hiked for about 5 hours to our destination and set up camp at the top of the mountain. I can't really recall which mountain, as there are quite a few in this range. Sitting near the edge at our camp, looking out at the forests and surrounding mountains, I realized how small I was compared to the vastness of nature. It was definitely one of those moments where you feel as if you've woken up. That's the best way I can explain it. Beautiful, beautiful description. And another artist, Bad Bubble, reacted, I'm from a dying factory town in Midwest USA. So just about anywhere is more beautiful than where I'm from. But there is a place towards the Iowa-Illinois border. It's called Galena, Illinois. Google it real quick if you can. I used to go there every now and then. It's literally heaven on earth. The people are warm and kind, but extremely protective of what they have, and I don't blame them. It is insanely gorgeous. Usually, places have their online images overstate what a place is, making it more beautiful than what it actually is. Galena, Illinois is not exaggerating their image views. If you go there, keep scrolling past the downtown square, it is breathtakingly beautiful. That's two very nice USA examples, but we also got some other artists responding from other parts of the world. Incognito, for example, said, I went to this giant lake in France once. It was so blue, felt like a dream. Maybe it was. I love that. No idea what lake it was, but just to show that like something everywhere to be found. And we also had Brushkeys, who said, I believe the most beautiful spot on the planet depends on how you feel when you're there. Very interesting insight. He said, for me, Barcelona's lively atmosphere, Nida's peaceful coast beauty, and Iceland's majestic landscapes, where I captured the artwork for Maya. Each hold a special place in my heart. Yeah, that's super beautiful to hear. Personally, I can recognize what he meant with the lively atmosphere in Barcelona, but also with the majestic landscapes in Iceland. Beautiful to hear that in some way also nature really inspired your art there. Yeah, and what I really love about hearing these different places, but also how people approach this question, is that to me it seems by hearing all these different answers that like going outside and actually looking around you is already a great way to see beautiful places. If you go outside with a conscious mindset to see nature and to see beauty around you, I feel like it's, you can find it everywhere. And yeah, I'm therefore also curious to hear your favorite spot on Earth, or maybe what you love to consciously see if you go outside in your own neighborhood where you live. Also let me know where you're from, because we'd love to hear that. And yeah, maybe we hear some spots that are so beautifully described that we'll add it to our personal bucket list as well. So yeah, thanks to all the artists for sharing that. We've heard about the beauty of nature and how it inspires creativity. We've asked one more question to the artists, and that is, what are some simple steps everyone can take to reduce their footprints? Let's dive into these practical steps and see how we can reduce our environmental footprint. The first community member that reacted to this was Dream Thief. He says, always recycle. Turn off lights you don't need and limit your water use, except for drinking water, because you need that to stay healthy. Another tip we got is from Sara, who says, San Francisco has fully adopted composting. When I visit other places, even other California states, I notice that they are way behind. Still selling styrofoam, not giving compostable plates, their waste department not implementing a compost program. But this is all on a governmental level. So you can compost yourself on your own level, having control over that. So just compost. And then we got a very cool reaction from Plante. Plante says, my stylist Vintage for Weekend helps to style me in clothes that are pre-loved clothes or one-of-a-kind vintage clothing. It helps to make my style unique, and I think it's important to be mindful of what we are wearing and the environmental cost it can have. So this is a very cool example of how uniqueness and sustainability can go hand in hand. So, it's a win-win. It's cost effective, it's saving the planet, and it's helping you have a unique outfit. So that's really cool. Also a great tip for other artists and performers. And we got one more from Madison Breen, and I think this is a super important one. She says, easiest thing to do is go vegan or vegetarian. The industrial size of the meat industry is so detrimental to this planet. If you don't want to go vegan or vegetarian completely, just try and support independent butchers that are close to the source of the product, farm shops, etc. Just to reduce the distance a product has to make before it lands on your plate. I do think that there are many more tips out there that might be so normal for you maybe, but really can inspire someone else to take a simple action. And that's why I'd love to hear your simple tip to reduce your footprint in the comments. Let's make it a wholesome place filled with tips we can start implementing step by step to heal the planet. Now, thank you all so much for tuning in to this Earth Day special. Remember, following Aliens Love Earth on the platform you're listening on right now or on our socials helps restore 1 square meter of ecosystem. It's free, just 2 clicks, and you're actually healing the planet by doing it right now. And if you're an artist, submit your music at aliensloveearth.com/submit. We'd love to give you a shout out on our platform if we dig it. Now, that wraps it up for this week. Make sure to tune in this Friday for our talk with Lucid Letters. Join us for a chat about leaving the big social media platforms, how to create and release what you really love to make, Planet Earth, and of course, Lucid Letters' exclusive premiere of some unreleased music. Thanks, have a great Earth Day, stay green, keep creating, and I'll catch you on Friday.